Imagine standing in a hallway in an apartment building. It is July 1991. The heat is stifling, sticky, and thick, but the heat isn't the problem. It's the smell. For months, the neighbors in the Oxford apartments in Milwaukee have been complaining. They call the landlord. They talk to the tenant in apartment 213. They ask, "What is that smell?" It smells like chemicals. It smells like old meat. It smells like something dead. The man in 213, a quiet guy with blonde hair and glasses named Jeff, always has an excuse. He says his freezer broke. He says he's cooking a roast. He says he'll take care of it. And because he looks so normal, so boring, people believe him. But that night, on July 22nd, the secrets inside apartment 213 are about to spill out. A man named Tracy Edwards comes running out of the building. He is terrified. A pair of handcuffs is dangling from one of his wrists. He flags down a police car, breathless, pointing back at the building. He tells the officers that a weird guy tried to tie him up and threatened him with a knife. The officers follow Edwards back to the apartment. They knock. Jeffrey Dahmer answers the door. He is calm. He is polite. He tells the police it was just a misunderstanding. He says, "I'll get the key for the handcuffs. Come on in." The officers step inside, and immediately the smell hits them. It is overwhelming. As the officers look around, they see a place that looks messy but relatively normal. There is a beige couch, a fish tank. But then, one officer notices something on the bedside table. A knife. He leans in to secure it, and right next to the knife, the drawer is slightly open. Inside, there are Polaroid pictures. The officer picks them up. He stares at them, trying to make sense of what he is seeing. They aren't normal photos. They are pictures of bodies, dismembered, posed. The officer freezes. He looks up at his partner and yells, "Cuff him!" Jeffrey Dahmer fights back, just for a second, before being pinned to the floor. And as he is led away, the police begin to search the rest of the apartment. What they find turns a regular homicide case into a nightmare that will shake the entire world. They find a blue barrel in the corner filled with acid and bones. In the fridge, there is a box containing a human head. In the freezer, there are hearts. Human hearts. This wasn't just a killer. This was a man who was trying to turn his apartment into a factory of death. But to understand how we got here, to this room of horrors, we have to go back. We have to open the mental diary of Jeffrey Dahmer to understand the slow, creeping darkness that took over his mind. Jeff wasn't born a monster. By all accounts, he was a happy baby. But as he grew up, he became distant, silent. While other kids were playing sports, Jeff was collecting insects. Then, he started collecting roadkill. He was fascinated by the inside of things. He wanted to know how bones fit together. He would dissolve the flesh of dead animals just to keep the skeletons. It was a grim hobby, but his parents thought it was just scientific curiosity. They didn't see the warning signs. By the time he graduated high school, he was drinking heavily to drown out the noise in his head. And the noise was telling him that he was alone. Desperately alone. His first murder happened just weeks after graduation. He picked up a hitchhiker named Stephen Hicks. They went back to Jeff's house to drink. When Stephen tried to leave, Jeff panicked. He didn't want him to go, so he struck him with a barbell. He silenced him. For years after that, Dahmer was dormant. He joined the army. He got kicked out. He moved to Milwaukee. He worked at a chocolate factory. He lived among us. He rode the bus. He went to bars. He looked like anyone else. But the hunger was growing. Dahmer's diary of crimes really began to fill up in the late 80s. His pattern was terrifyingly simple. He would go to bars or malls. He would look for young men, often men who looked down on their luck or needed money. He would offer them cash. $50, he'd say. Just come back to my place. Let me take some photos of you, have a drink, and you can go." It sounded easy. Once they were inside apartment 213, he would pour them a drink, usually a rum and coke, but he would crush sleeping pills into the glass. He would watch them drink it. He would wait. He would watch their eyelids get heavy. He would watch them slur their words. And when they slumped over, the nightmare began. Dahmer didn't just want to kill them. Killing was actually the part he hated the most. He didn't want them dead. He wanted them to stay. He wanted them to be zombies. This is the part that makes the files on Dahmer so chilling. He started experimenting. He would drill into the skulls of his victims while they were unconscious and inject acid or boiling water. He thought that if he did this, he could wipe their memories but keep them alive. He wanted living dolls, slaves who would never leave him, never judge him, and never say goodbye. It never worked. They always died. And when they died, he couldn't let them go. In his confession, Dahmer spoke about this with a flat, emotionless voice. He said that by eating parts of his victims, specifically the heart or the biceps, he felt like they became a permanent part of him. It was a twisted, sick form of love. He believed that if he consumed them, they would live on inside his body. He would never be alone again because they were literally part of his cellular makeup. He kept their skulls painted to look like shiny plastic. He planned to build a shrine, an altar of bones, in his closet, where he could sit and meditate, surrounded by the remains of the men he had taken. Perhaps the most tragic moment in this entire timeline, the moment that haunts everyone who reads the file, is the story of Conorak Synthesomphone. Conorak was only 14. Dahmer had lured him in. He drugged him, but for some reason, Dahmer left the apartment for a moment to go to the store. While he was gone, the boy woke up. Imagine the scene. The boy is groggy, drugged, naked, and stumbling out into the alleyway. Two women see him. They know something is wrong. They call the police. The police arrive. But just as they are trying to help the boy, Dahmer comes back. He is calm. He smiles. He tells the officers, "This is my boyfriend. He's just drunk. We had a lover's quarrel. I'm taking him back inside." The boy is too drugged to speak. He can't scream. He can't say, "Help me." And the police, they believe Dahmer. They believe the calm, white man over the distressed teenager and the concerned neighbors. They actually walk the boy back into the apartment. They lead him back into the slaughterhouse. They watch Dahmer close the door. If those officers had just run a background check, they would have seen Dahmer was a registered offender. They would have saved the boy's life. Instead, Conorak became another victim, another heart consumed. It went on like this for months, the smell getting worse, the blue barrel filling up, the neighbors complaining, the police knocking, then leaving. Until Tracy Edwards.
When Edwards escaped that night in July 1991, he broke the spell. The trial that followed was a media circus. The world watched in horror as the details came out. 17 young men and boys, lives stolen, families shattered. Dahmer didn't plead innocent. He admitted to everything. He told them about the cooking. He told them about the shrine. He told them about the loneliness that was so deep it turned him into a cannibal. He pleaded insanity, but the jury didn't buy it. They saw a man who was calculated, who knew exactly how to hide his crimes. He was sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms. There would be no parole. But Jeffrey Dahmer's time in prison was short. He knew he wasn't going to last. He reportedly told people he didn't want to live. He had made peace with death. On November 28, 1994, Dahmer was assigned to clean the prison gym bathroom with 2 other inmates. One of them was Christopher Scarver. Scarver had a metal bar from the weight room hidden in his clothes. He waited until the guards left them alone. He cornered Dahmer. He asked him if the stories were true. Did he really do those things to those people? Dahmer didn't beg. He didn't fight. He accepted his fate. Scarver beat him to death, right there on the cold tile floor. The man who had drilled into the skulls of innocent victims had his own skull crushed in a final act of brutal justice. The story of Jeffrey Dahmer isn't just a story about blood and gore. It's a story about how evil can hide in plain sight. It's about a man who looked normal, acted polite, and lived in a regular apartment building, all while creating a personal hell just behind the front door. It reminds us that we never truly know what is happening in the room next to us. We never truly know the darkness that can exist in the human heart. So the case ended. I'm sorry if you're traumatized.
Welcome to Crime Reveals.